And welcome back to Core Disruption's World Premiere Tournament here live at the University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland, alongside Joey Courtside King McDermott. My name is John Fiasco Byram. 3 matches down, 1 to go left here in the quarterfinals. And Joey, it is GARFELF versus Thonk coming up next.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. 2 great names on the field here as well, John. So far today, we've seen a lot of Scorpion tanks. It looks like that will be the theme here as well. Both teams going with full weapons, though. One team selecting for the full lasers, while the other side going for a little bit of a different approach here.
It looks absolutely great, and that's one of the things we're seeing as today's tournament continues to progress here, is different strategies, and we're seeing another one here where laser's not going to be the king for at least Thonk going forward.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how that comes out as well. So far, we've seen one team that selects all lasers end up getting the win early on in Morons Cubed, but from there was a little bit of an adjustment. It didn't quite go that way in Map 2.
All right, it is time for game 1 of this best of 3. GARFELF on the side of the blue team and Thonk on the side of the red. It is now underway here in this best of 3, the final match here in the quarter final round. Joey, it is a weekend. I'm feeling it. And right now, we finally have it going. We have 2 teams going in the opposite direction of each other. We have both teams going in a circle, trying to find each other. But the great thing is, with this map kind of being reimagined from the first time we saw this map during group play just a little over a year ago, that middle structure is now wide open. It's been taken out of this map, and now there's a lot more clear sight lines. So I can guarantee you right now, both teams realize where each other are. They both have stopped rotating. They're kind of feeling each other out. So before we talked about how the other teams kind of went from a super aggressive playstyle to a more passive kind of playstyle, Joey, right now, we're just seeing a parking lot. It feels like I'm on I-95 waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, this is about as passive as it can get. I believe they've seen each other on the side of their screen, but not 100% sure, as both teams not really making too much movement. The side of GARFELF really waiting out to try to catch someone out.
And GARFELF kind of really staying together as a team. Cats right now kind of flanking a little bit to the south where they're currently positioned, trying to see if he can find where exactly GARFELF is hiding. And with all those structures in the way, counting 3 structures, it might be a little bit harder to spot him from there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, John. Seeing no spotting as of yet. We're continuing to count down about a minute and a half into this one. GARFELF looking like they're not planning on moving anytime soon. A little bit of movement coming out from Double Dog, but not very much. While on the side of Thonk, we see them actually rotating the opposite way.
Both teams not wanting to be the aggressor here. I mean, I don't blame them. We saw the aggressor in several matches prior to this one end up losing. So they're trying to force the other team to make that first move. And now we're starting to see Thonk. They're making that rotation around. Will GARFELF see it in time? They're slowly rotating. Double Dog hasn't moved as of yet, still at the farthest position away. And now Thonk is slowly creeping in. GARFELF still hasn't seen them yet. They're using that cover. GARFELF is completely unaware. They're about to be flanked from the side. Now they see them. Now they're starting to make their move away. Now Thonk is starting to commit a little bit more, and GARFELF is starting to retreat. We're now at 7.5 minutes left here in the first game, and we're starting to see those sight lines open up, and those shots are now underway. Double Dog has to quickly get back to the rest of his team because Thonk is starting to lay down some damage.
Yeah, and we do see the lasers coming out there from the side of GARFELF. For the side of Thonk, though, John, they're all running railguns. That's a lower rate of fire, but a very high projectile speed. It's going to do pinpoint damage, and they come off very hot as well. So the cooldowns will be there. We're seeing those shots come off, but the cooldowns also coming in quickly.
Very long-range battling going on right now. We'll have to take a look at the damage on the plates. Both teams now kind of in the open, only having one building to hide behind. Now we're taking a look at those damages on the plates. On the side of Thonk, taking the most damage so far. They were the aggressor, but so far the damage spread out pretty evenly across all of their vehicles.
Now this is something, again, we've seen up against teams taking on that 3-laser approach. Those lasers paint that early damage. The mistakes other teams have made is then they move in with the lasers instead of continuing on their advantage. And we do see a little bit of that here with some flanking, but they are moving back as well.
Now Sloth Monkey has that damage isolated to the left side of his vehicle as well, as now GARFELF is starting to move around. They're trying to make a split here between Thonk because they're spread out just a bit. Cats and Goof is separated from J4 Link. And now they're starting to regroup again. Close quarter combat. It is bumper to bumper traffic right now between both of these teams. The damage starting to come down. Cats has his core exposed, taking damage down to 87 health left. And right now, GARFELF, all the cores still at 100%.
Yeah, perfect situation to be in if you are GARFELF. John, they are just coming out very strong here, continuing to paint that damage down. Cat's already exposed, taking 62 damage. But again, we see a lot of damage coming out from Thonk, running those, the rail guns. They're going to continue to lay down high damage.
Absolutely. We just saw 2 massive hits to the front left panel for Sloth Monkey and Double Dog. That front left panel is absolutely gone. 2 massive hits on the side. Double Dog's in trouble, but Cats is already down for Thonk. It is a 3v2, the advantage for GARFELF, but not for too long. 2 cores are exposed. Double Dog down to 20 health on his core. They could easily even this one up, and now Sloth Monkey down to 50 as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The railgun not packing the punch that the Vulture does, but overall it still does have high damage, and we're going to see that come in as the 2 cores are exposed.
Now Goof's front left panel is gone as well, taking slight damage at 98. Nothing to be worried about as of yet. Just needs to spread that damage around the rest of the vehicle. Now GARFELF spread out a little bit, splitting Thonk up. They are nowhere close to each other. Now Goof is in trouble, down to 56. All the cores have been touched now on the side of GARFELF, and they are just, it's just a matter of angles for Thonk. It is still doable. 33% for Goof, 100% still there for J4 Link. They're looking fine. It is now a 2v2 as Frendo has dropped. Double Dog, the next closest one. Goof might drop next. He's at 17 for Thonk, now down to 9. It is a 2v1, and Link still has 100% left on his core. The plate's still intact on his vehicle. He has a chance to pull off the 2v1.
Yeah, really risky play from Double Dog, staying so far back, but so far getting the damage down. A little bit disruptions there between buildings, but now moving forward, joining his teammate, that 2v1 becomes realized.
Down to 10 for Sloth Monkey, down to 20 for Double Dog. Link down to 59. The front now fully exposed for his vehicle, down to 40, but Sloth goes down. Double Dog, it's a 1v1. The advantage on the side of Thonk, 25-20. Now for both of these players, it's Link versus Double Dog. The 1v1, and Link has done it. He has 2v1 and takes game 1.
Only 3 health remaining there, John. What a storied finish. Big damage coming out. In the end, it just ended up being that heat being the difference maker, coming off cooldown, just slightly behind.
Can he do it 3v1? I mean, he did it 2v1. I mean, why not 3v1? I mean, why not make it a little bit more challenging for him? That was absolutely an exciting way to finish the first game of this best of 3. Link with 3 health left. That's all he had was 3. He came into that 2v1 core fully intact, was able to withstand the damage from the 2v1, takes down 2 tanks that were absolutely touched on their core. I mean, their core was already like 60 and 40% gone by that point in time. Was able to survive and takes home a crucial game 1 win in this best of 3.
Yeah, the railgun really being the finisher there. In the end, it does pull up that high damage. It's a little bit slower of a reload time compared to the heat of the lasers, but it was enough, John. It was enough time to keep that 3 health and get the final kill.
Absolutely. And we saw 2 times during that last matchup how that weapon choice actually played out for Thonk, because we saw 2 massive shots not only take down the front left panel of GARFELF's tanks, but also put a quick 20 damage onto their core as well in just 1 shot. It's a big risk and reward when it comes to that type of weapon, because like you said, high damage, slow reload time. So you have to play around that, and it feels like that's the reason why they were playing a little bit slower, because they were playing around the limitations of those weapons.
And John, this is once again another higher seeded team running full lasers out of the gate, coming out with 9 lasers, and outside of Morons Cubed, it's not really been working out too well for the top seed so far.
Absolutely, and Morons Cube being the ultra-aggressive team that we've seen so far here, where everyone else has kind of played a little bit more passive. So maybe it's a combination of, if you do run lasers, you might have to be the aggressive team. But we'll see here later on as the tournament goes on, as Morons Cube have moved on to the semifinal round as well. But Joey, if you're GARFELF going forward, going into game 2, your back's now up against the wall. You have to win this to force game 3. Obviously, the strategy in game 1, it worked for a bit. Playing it slow, playing the position game, using those obstacles for cover, it worked out for about 3 minutes. But as soon as the aggression started, as soon as they became close quarter battles and that high damage started to come out, they fell pretty quick.
Yeah, the lasers paint a lot of consistent damage, but it takes longer to get through that plating and then eventually to the core. What we see coming out with the railgun or the plasma bolter is higher damage. It comes out a little bit slower initially, but once it pokes through, it does heavy damage.
Absolutely. So we are just moments away from game number 2 between a very closely contested matchup between Thonk and GARFELF. I mean, Joey, that came down to literally the last 4 health points. I felt like it could go any way.
Last three health points.
Pardon me, I was off by 1.
1 HP. Huge difference maker, honestly, in that one.
Absolutely, and it was just an absolute battle towards the end. I'm expecting a little bit more of the same here in game 2. It's an evenly matched matchup here between GARFELF and Thonk. Now, the real question comes down to is, are we going to see that standoff once again like we saw in the beginning? Felt like it was a good 2.5, 3 minutes before we got any action here going on. Honestly, it felt like I was stuck on the Capitol Beltway waiting for traffic to go here a little bit, just kind of waiting for for both teams to find each other.
Yeah, I think this one's probably approached a little bit more aggressively. While I do like the waiting game in the end, it did not work out for one team pretty heavily, the team that ended up waiting the longest. So I do think we see a bit more aggression coming out from GARFELF.
All right, looks like the players are ready to go. We are moving into game number 2. We will see now the equipment selected for both teams. Joey, Scorpions across the board, and once again, Thonk sticking with what worked in the first game.
Yeah, Thonk sticking with the railguns. A little bit of a change up, though. We do still have a high majority of lasers on the side of GARFELF, but varying things up a little bit, trying to bring some more projectiles into the mix.
GARFELF, I mean, they had the advantage. It was 2v1. Their biggest thing was they were unable to continue to spread the damage around those last 2 players' tanks. Their front panels were exposed. Their cores were getting hit. They came in at less than 100% on their core. Meanwhile, on the side of Thonk, they had 1 player, Link, still had plenty of damage to give on his armor plating, had plenty of damage to give on the core as well, coming into that 2v1 with 100%. Definitely in his favor, but just feels like one more rightly timed shot on the side of GARFELF, and this could have been a completely different match.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 HP was the difference. Any shot anywhere, it almost feels like could have been the difference maker. In the end, the rotations came out, though, and it does look like we'll be loading into game 3 with game 2 rather, with slightly different setups from both sides. One team continuing to run the railgun, but the adjustment on the other side bringing some projectiles into the mix.
Joey, strap your seatbelts on. Game number 2 ready to go, and we are already doing the circle dance. Both teams going in opposite directions. We'll see how long it takes this time. Again, about 2.5 minutes back in game 1 before the action really started here. We'll see if it is a little less of a wait here in game number 2, but with that ending in game 1, I don't mind waiting another 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this one comes out. It does look like they will both be pretty passive overall. You are seeing slight rotations coming around as they continue to go to clockwise to hopefully find one another here shortly.
And if they keep going in that same pathing, they will eventually meet up. Again, taking their time, moving building from building, using that as cover, trying to move together as a team. Again, not really spreading apart, but also not really grouping, still allowing plenty of room. If things get a little spicy there, they can move around a little bit. We see GARFELF just taking their time. Frendel kind of dropping down a little bit from the rest of the team, looking to see if they're trying to come around from the south end. They are not, as Thonk, as you can see on your screen right now, staying true to that north side of the map. They're trying to make GARFELF make the first move. Now, Cats being a little aggressive here, going out in the open a little bit. Double Dog starting to poke around that tower, but Cats moves back in time, using that center building to their advantage to try to hide a little bit more.
Yeah, aggressive's a very relative word here, John. Not really moving forward too much, but it does look like the exposure should come out here if Double Dog's looking that direction.
And now the hero of last game, Link, is seen first and takes the damage. Communicates with the rest of the team. Now Goof moving in as well. Cats is there. But GARFELF is holding true, using that tower as their main source of defense right now. As Double Dog takes a little damage on the left side of the tank. Frendel on the front panel as well.
Yeah, a little bit of damage being traded back and forth, but honestly not too much. Link getting lit up a bit, but still very much in the yellow. Not really too much exposure, really on any bit of the core as of yet.
Still the passive gameplay continuing here at the 740 mark. Here in game 2, it is 1-0 advantage of Thonk after a thrilling end in game 1. So we're waiting to see how both of these teams adjust here in game 2. Link, the hero who had the 2v1 win at the end. All panels have some damage, but nothing too concerning as of yet. The rest of his team looks pretty good as well. Now Goof's starting to move in here a little bit. Thonk might try to be a little aggressive here. More damage put down onto Link as Cats now links up with Goof towards the middle of the building.
Also keep an eye on Link and Cats, both weapons taking some damage here. We have all 3 weapons for the side of Link. Cats rather taking 2 weapons with some damage. You can't disable weapons in this game, so that is a big thing to look out for as well.
So those weapons indicators on the top of the tanks as well. And a lot of damage coming out from GARFELF right now. All the tanks on the side of Thonk have damage. Frendel's front left panel completely gone in the core has damage. Down to 80. Those heavy shots coming in from Thonk starting to pay off once again.
And that is big here. Now they know that Frindle has a very big weakness in that left side. If they continue to hit away at that, that could end up being a huge difference maker, making this a quick 3v2.
And Link trying to draw that attention away from his teammates. Now Frendel looking for possibly a flank play here. Sees Cats and Goof towards the north side of that obstacle, and now will fall back. Now Double Dog is going to move around as well. Looking for more sightlines. Goof and Link taking more damage.
And this, I really like the play from GARFELF here. Yes, you do have some damage on Frindle down, but they're playing lasers the way I think lasers should be played. They're continuing to stay back, continuing to poke away. Typically, when we've seen teams take advantages early on with lasers, they've moved in and played aggressive and really given up their advantage in doing so.
GARFELF using that back wall and tower to their advantage. While at the center is Thonk, but Double Dog takes a massive hit. Sloth Monkey takes a big hit to the right front side of the tank as well. Down to 60 and 50 health on the side of GARFELF. And meanwhile, Thonk is still sitting pretty with all their cores intact. It is trouble for GARFELF.
Yeah, Thonk took a lot of damage there on their plating, but nothing on the core as of yet. GARFELF with those cores shown, and a lot of that reasoning being, John, they're not using the walls as much here, and they start to have Goof Snarl coming around from the side here from Thonk, laying down extra damage as well.
Frendel, what is he doing? Completely surrounded by Thonk. One player goes down. It is Frendel. The aggressive play ends up coming back to haunt him. Double Dog around the corner onto Goof. Still in trouble here. He's down to 50 for Double Dog. That aggressive play onto Goof, not resulting in any damage to the core whatsoever. Sloth starting to drop down to 20. He's gone. The core is absolutely obliterated. It is now a 3v1 for Double Dog. He's down to 20 health left. It is just a matter of time. It is a 3v1, and Thonk will finish it off for the clean 2-0 sweep.
Absolutely big stuff coming out from Thonk there, John. Continuing to lay down that damage. GARFELF staying back with the lasers, and it worked pretty well to paint the armor. Unfortunately, not able to penetrate that core in the end as Thonk just continued to lay down the heavy rounds.
I think I'm with everyone else here. I was hoping for the 3v1 pull-off there. We saw a 2v1 in the match before. Why not a 3v1? Alas, it did not happen. It is in favor of Thonk taking the 2-0 win in less dramatic fashion here in Game 2. But nonetheless, they have punched their ticket into the semifinals as well. Great play style again, a little bit of slower pace there in the beginning, but it plays off, especially with their weapon choice. You definitely want to make sure you land those massive hits, and it paid off once again.
Yeah, the thing with GARFELF is they would usually give up one plating in the front, whether that be left or right. You can use buildings to take that as an advantage. Once that plate's removed, to hide behind a building a little bit for your left side or right side, depending on which side ended up taking that damage, and still continue to lay down that damage, but give yourself more of the armor as well.
Quarterfinals have come to an end. Joey, we're going to toss it to a very quick break. During the intermission, we're going to have some members from the NPlex team come on. We'll talk a little bit about core disruption, and then we will start the semifinals right after that. So don't go anywhere. You are watching the world premiere tournament of core disruption live from the University of Maryland.